Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today, we're going to be talking about the Pakistani culture along with the Muslim religion. This is part two with Ali Saeed. Get you something to drink and get you a snack and come on back. So, welcome back, Ali.
Thank you.
Uh, I want to pick back up on the conversation we had when we talked about. Do you remember about how I was sharing a story about my friend? She was from another country, Spanish-speaking country, and how she had to come over to America by herself and leave her son with her family, and how her son held that against her because she had to leave. Have you ever heard stories like that within your own culture of someone having to leave the country and come to America, but maybe leave their loved ones behind?
Oh yeah, that's very common. I mean, they make basically soap like movies about that. That people have to because not you're not lucky enough for the whole family to get their visas, or they don't have that much money for the whole family to come. So one person, the head of the household, if he's married, someone has to come and they start working here. One person come and they, like I said, they send money back. They'll come to America with that dream of I'm gonna make it rich in one day, and what he used to see, what he or she sees in the movies, the glamorous
Yes.
life. It doesn't happen like that. They a lot of them you end up getting a blue collar job. You're living either with other bachelors or single people in one apartment, and you're sending money back, and you're just struggling because that's all you have, and you have to just keep doing that until you find that big break, or sometimes that big break just breaks you, and a lot of people just end up going back
Yeah.
because what people did like in my dad's time is different to what the young people are enduring now, to be successful or to make it. Some people don't, and they end up going back because especially nowadays there is not that many opportunities that the people have.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Yeah. I'll give you an example. My brother-in-law, he's not Pakistani, but he is Palestinian. He came to this country, but he had that go-getter mentality. He says, Ali, the first thing I did, someone told me, when you go to America, go to a gas station. That's where you're going to find a job. He literally got off the airplane, got off LAX. He went to the first gas station, said, I want to work. And he literally put his suitcase there, uh, and he started working at the gas station, kept
Wow.
working. I mean, he knew
Wow.
that. I mean, that's how people are prepared now. That okay, that's what you got to do. I mean, it's not you're not going to get that big time job paying you a lot of
Yeah.
money. You have to start somewhere if you're not educated.
Yeah.
Even if
The
you are,
girl.
man, it's tough. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, 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 you're right. No, it is tough. It's definitely tough. The girl I was telling you about that I know she's from Pakistan. She got a master's. The girl is like extremely smart. And she shared about her challenges as well. Her mom and dad passed away. She's only
Oh,
like 32, and she got two sisters. They passed away maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and she talked about how challenging it was. I think she was in grad school at the time,
yeah.
but she shared a story about how challenging it was for her family, her and her sister. I don't know which one passed first, which parent passed first, but I do know her and the sisters were living with the parents because neither one of them is married. And she said it was challenging. They kept the place where their parents, you know, lived in, but it was, I mean, it was challenging for her and her sisters, and she felt like she needed to go to school and get a degree, another degree, a master's degree, so that she
Mm.
can be, better prepared financially in the future. But during the process, one of the parents passed away, and the other parent was already deceased, according to her. And
Oh,
another parent,
oh
it
my
was,
God.
yeah, I was like, wow, like just really, my heart was going out to her. She's not a practicing Muslim.
Hmm.
She talked about how, she wanted to kind of carve out her own path, not the path that was provided to her in a religious sense by her family. So she kind of, do her own thing. Um, and that's kind of what I want to ask you too. Like, how, well, I'm assuming that are you classified as a Muslim?
Yes, I am a Muslim,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to expand on the word if you're practicing or not, but what I've been learned what I've about Islam through one of my good friends. He's very knowledgeable, and I would go to him for I about Islam and what I was supposed to do, because growing up, you had my parents' cultural Islam where everything's just black and white. He showed me the more shades of gray in Islam, that you know what, it's you're always a Muslim, either if you're practicing or not, if you're praying 5 times a day or if you're not. I myself, like I told you the other day, I don't pray 5 times a day, but I try to do as much as I can um, uh, to be a Muslim. And I don't know how I can really define how, like the parents, like the old generation's Islam compared to what we are experiencing, or my kids, how they'll experience Islam. Because like it was more black and white. You got to do things this way, and what Islam, it gets sort of tarnished with like the Pakistani culture, where Islam itself is the way of it's a way of life and how to live your life. But when you start to change it around, that used to me was always a turnoff, until I started to seek knowledge about Islam and what I'm doing is right, or what if I'm doing is wrong, or how lazy I am to pray, or how lazy I am to do other things. But I was always told that God is always forgiving, and just always look at your intentions. That's what I was told. Keep your intentions positive, keep your energy positive, and positive things will happen. And that's
Yeah.
how I interpret Islam. I mean, that's to me that's Islam right now, and just that my battles that I have to get back to the necessary steps that I need to do, like 5 times a day prayer, that kind of stuff.
So do you feel like you became a Muslim because of your culture, or was it something that a decision that you made, or was it something that as a child, your family just really started to bring you into the Muslim culture and you just continued
Mhm.
on? I'm just curious how that happened.
No, that's a great question. Growing up, I was born into Islam. My dad was Muslim. My mom was Muslim. We're a Muslim family for generations. I don't know along what line, era, time that my ancestors converted to Islam, but myself, Islam it was in our lifestyle. And my mom and dad, my dad prayed 5 times a day. My mom does that 5 times a day, prayers also. Um, I wasn't, like, I was more off the Islam thing. I just didn't care. I just like, okay, my dad, okay, you gotta go pray. Come on, praying, come pray next to me. I'm like, oh, dad, I don't want to do it. Oh, you better do it. I'm like, okay, dad, I'll do it. So it was like more forced upon me. I would go pray, go pray. It's prayer time. Get ready. And I always became a turn off. But through my, I would say 20s, I had a, I have a group of friends, and we would talk about, like, our conversation would be about Islam and religion. And through those conversations, I was able to understand my religion, Islam, from a different aspect that wasn't tarnished by culture, but it was just what it was. And I'm not trying to say that I'm a scholar in Islam. I don't. I mean, I probably know an Adam's worth right now, but what I was able to in, gain from those conversations is that I can say that I am a Muslim, and I choose to be a Muslim. So that helped me break the black and white stereotypes of my father and mother's type of, their approach was a little bit more different because of their old school. And
Right. Exactly.
that old school approach. So now I was able to understand the essence of how Islam helps your soul and my soul. When it's that food for my soul at
Okay.
times when I need it, and it's just who I am now. And I've been.
So have you ever saw or known someone to leave the Muslim culture and practice another religion, whatever it may be. I'm curious to like to know how the culture or religion responded to that departure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I knew one of my family friends in Los Angeles. This person, I can't say boy or girl. I don't know if they'll ever see this, but
Yeah,
this person did leave Islam and he converted to Christianity.
yeah.
Last time I heard, he was a very successful. I think that's what they say. He's a pastor,
Hmm.
and that's what he's been. He is. He's converted to Christianity. Um, the the fallout from it, the parents, they will always be like, oh my God, this happened. What did you do? How did you raise them? But some things are just meant to be. I mean, if he chose to leave, now I can say that this person chose it and let him leave.
You're muted.
As far as the fallout, all the families are talking about it. Oh my God, this person did this. He converted Islam, and it goes back to the parents. What are the parents doing? How was he raised? And it's just people will say, but yeah, this person did leave, and he's a pastor. This person's a pastor, and that the what I know about his leaving Islam.
Yeah. Yeah, and I only asked that because I've heard of stories, people in one religion and then they, make the decision to follow another religion. It's a lot of backlash from the religion
Mhm.
that they left, which I thought was really, really interesting. I do know, I have a friend who is from the Christian culture, religion, which is what I believe in. And, with this particular culture, they are, even though they're Christians, they're professing Christians, I'm going to say that, they really promote going to church
Mhm.
when the Bible talks about the relationship with Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
It talks about, John 3:16, gospel of the world, that began his only begotten son, whoever should believe is not perish but have everlasting life. So it clearly focused on Jesus, although they're professing Christians, but what they do or what they've done was highly encourage their son to go to church, or their kids go to church, not come home and pray, not come home and read the Bible, but go to church and live a good life, which is contrary, in my opinion, is somewhat contrary towards what the Christian faith stands for. Because if
Mhm.
you just go to church, and you still continue to live the life that you was living as if you did not have a title of a Christian, to me, it defeats the purpose of taking on, a Christianity religion. And so he has definitely, at one point in time, his family kind of looked down on him because he chose to pray. He chose to read the Bible. He chose to fast. He was doing things that they didn't teach him. He was following the Bible in so many words, is what I'm saying. But his family had their own idea of what Christianity should be. And the whole thing is go to church, go to church, go to church, when he was drinking and smoking and fornicating, doing all that type of stuff. And he was like, what's the point? My life ain't changing. So later on in life, he met somebody who, that was a Christian, told him according to what the Bible says. And that was really hard for the family. And I remember one day he was telling his mother, was like, well, why do you pray so much? Why do you read the Bible so much? And I'm like, well, really? You would want that for your kid. I mean, but once
Yeah.
again, they had their own idea of what, their children should do in regards to Christianity, because that's the way that their
Mhm.
parents brought them up, and their, and then it goes back generations and stuff. So that's what kind of made me ask you that question. And they really, they kind of, look down on them for that. So I think we'll see that more. And it definitely affected his mental health too, because he started to deal with depression, a little bit of anxiety. because he didn't even want to be around his culture. He didn't really want to be associated with it like that because he felt like people was going to, outcast him and stuff. And they actually did with his sister. They definitely outcast his sister because she made a decision to move out, because in their culture, you don't move out till you get married. Well,
Yeah.
she made the decision to move out, and because the parents were so strict on her.
Yeah.
So it's just some stuff like that. Have you ever known people to go through stuff like that in regards to like if they move out too soon or things like that?
No, it happens. That is very common in Pakistani. It does talk about in our culture. Yeah, it is. Well, growing up here, I mean, you get turned off because the parents are brought up how their parents were in that strict culture. That
Yeah,
balance that one has to make between the being American and being a Muslim and being Pakistan. You see, you had to face three things: being Pakistani, being a Muslim, and being living in America. Your parents don't know what you go through being
right,
growing up in America, the
right.
hardships. That becomes a turnoff for a lot of children, a lot of people, not even children, a lot of people become turned because you're exposed to America. How do I balance that? Because all we know is that black and white, old school type of Islam mixed with the Pakistani culture. When Islam itself can, I mean, the religion can show you, like how your friend is, read the Quran, pray, do your fasting. That religion is you. It's not to the point where it's totally changing the way you go about your lifestyle because the Pakistani culture says that also, and then Islam says that also. You got to change that. No, in those type of situations, a lot of people get turned off and they just go away from religion. I've experienced that myself. I would just get turned off and yeah, you're just praying because my dad's making me pray. You're reciting these send surahs from the Quran, and you're just saying it, oh yeah, because my dad made me say it, so I'm forced to do this, or people want you to do it this way. And until, like your friend, you don't understand what your religion is, or you find that religion in your soul, you can't grow and you can't have peace with yourself.
Hmm.
And, but it's very common. What I'm trying to say, it's very common.
What about? I'm curious. What about? So when you was going through that yourself, did it affect your mental health? Like, did you experiencing depression or anxiety like my friend did at all?
Oh yeah, yeah, it used to because especially when you're a teenager going into your 20s, yeah, the peer pressure and all that, and you're just like battling what your parents have to do. Yeah, you had a lot of anxiety, a lot of points of just like feeling sad and depressed. Like, what? How the hell do I manage this? How do I have like my friends are doing this, and this is what's going on here, and then you come home and it's that lifestyle, and you're trying to find a way of telling your parents that no, things are like this, but they don't want to hear it. No, life is like this outside, mom. When I go to
Yeah,
school with my friends, no, they don't want to hear it because no, you were a Pakistani Muslim, and
right.
it to me it was just very difficult until, like I said, I started hanging out with more the people that we had a group where we talked about Islam and talked about our issues that we were dealing with, and that helped us make that bridge to
Yeah,
being growing up here in our religion and just saying, oh, you know what, Pakistan and that culture that can take a seat, the seat, take a back seat, and just worry about these two factors. It was
yeah,
tough, man.
yeah. Wow. I'm curious to know about the marriage aspect of being a Muslim, a Pakistani Muslim. How do they like? Do they um, do your culture believe in arranged marriages? How do they look at people who choose not to marry? I'm just curious.
That choose not to get married or not to get
Yeah,
arranged marriage. They choose not.
both,
Oh, okay.
both.
In the culture, they'll be like, "Oh, this person's not married." They'll ask them, then they'll put the pressure on the parents. Why isn't your
Hmm.
son married? When they'll come up in like family gathering, hey, your son or daughter, they're not married. What's wrong with this person?
Hmm.
Or like, oh, they found their own partner. They didn't get arranged marriage. Oh my God, what's wrong with this
Man,
person? Is he not educated? Is there something wrong? Is there something wrong with them mentally, physically, financially? Is this what's going on with them? And I swear to God, man, that's exactly what people do. And they'll just, not only will you hear it, that your parents will hear it. And the parents will be like, oh, it's just like a domino effect. They'll start getting, they'll start putting the pressure on the child. You know what?
Mhm.
I'm going through this because of these people. They're talking about you. They're talking about you. But that stigma is there that, yeah, you have to do it in a certain way, a certain
Yeah.
time, and a certain type of marriage. It's like,
I think it's very interesting what you said to me. I never thought about the pressure being put on the parents by friends and family. I'm telling you, I never thought about that. And the reason why I asked you that is because my friend and his sister both, the oldest sister is the one that moved out. She ain't even married. It was too much for her. She moved out, but it was a lot of pressure put on her and my friend to get married. And my friend was like, "I'm not getting married." Like he just didn't want to, But it would be the pressure from his parents, the pressure. He has four sisters. Three of the sisters are married. The pressure from them, and there's times I would be at his house, and his mom would, oh, I want grandkids, and he was like, "Well, mom, you got four grandkids," and it's just that manipulation and stuff like that. And the church actually kicked his sister out. They excommunicated her because she moved out and got her own apartment. Yeah, she got moved out, got her own apartment, and it actually scarred her, and she fell into a real deep state of depression behind that, and she has never been back to church to make it her home since then. But they really scarred their both of them, in my opinion, with their belief system as to you need to be married by a certain age. And then with her, I think she's maybe like 34 now. She ended up she fell into another depression, deep state depression, because now the family has kind of manipulated her to want to get married and stuff. So she went out. Oh, I hope she don't see this show, but she ended up going out and started being very promiscuous with different guys because she felt like she need to find the right guy. Well, we know that's not the way to do it, but it's the pressure from her family that caused her to go out there
yeah,
and just start, doing things that she wasn't brought up to do. And I don't think parents really realize how detrimental, their kids' mental health can be based off their belief system and what they think they should be doing, how they think they should do it, and when they think they should do it. I know her mom was telling me that when I came to America, I think she was like 22 with 5 kids. And so the sister, because the sister was in the kitchen when the mom was telling this, and the sister said, "Well, mom, I would not want 5 kids at the age of 22 years old, being in a new country, can't speak English and things like that." But the generations are changing, you
yeah.
know. So you have kids. So you got a girl and a boy, two girls.
I got two kids. I got a girl, she's 6, and I got a boy, he's 3.
So how what is your expectation from your children in regards to being I gotta put you on blast on
Yeah,
Front
you
Street
got to.
here.
You have to.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, what is your expectation for your kids being Pakistani, um, or being a Muslim in marriages? I'm just curious, like, what is your expectations of father?
So one thing happens when you get married, my expectations sort of go down the drain, and my wife's expectations are the ones that are going to be prominent. But
Yeah.
my thing is, I would like my daughter and my son to marry a Muslim.
Okay.
As far as me laying down the law that has to be a certain way and this and that, I know the way times are going, my opinion will just be there. But I know the way my daughter is and the way my son is, they're gonna make their own decision.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I would honestly, man, I tell you the truth, I would ask them to look for piety in their spouse,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
someone with moral beliefs. I mean, anything can happen. That I know my wife said they can marry and someone out of your religion. I'm like, yeah, but then you just pray that the person that they meet, or I just say that that person has piety, that the person has a moral framework that's not going by what society is setting up, that society's framework, but proper moral framework where there's respect for one another. And that's what I truly wish for. I mean, it's wishful thinking. I know how my daughter and I know the way society's, which way it's going. If I'll live that long, if I'm not, because I got married really late, but I would like to see them in some type of, preferably to find that peace, find that perfect partner that has those beliefs in them. Race is not
So,
an issue for me. I mean, it doesn't have to be Pakistani, it doesn't have to be black, white. That's not an issue
so
for
what
me.
if they decide to marry in another religion, or what if they decide to not get married at all? Like, you know what? How would that? Do you think that would affect your relationship with them?
No, no, it's not. That again, it's gonna be their decision. I can't put a because I know what it feels like. I can't put a gun to their forehead and say, no, you got to get married. I mean, all I can say is, you know what, one day, I mean, if you want to have children, you want to see, if you want to carry on your family and have children, that's what you get. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. But I will not be, it won't change anything between them and me because what I went through with my parents, that black and white, I'm trying my best to not be that person. My wife tells me in the beginning, she tells me, you know, it seemed like I married a caveman and then I came from Pakistan. And you look like you're
Yeah.
living in a caveman. That was in the beginning, but I tell her, you know, I'm trying to change. I'm trying to understand. My mind is more open. And God willing, man, I'm going to try my best with my kids.
So your wife is more. What I'm hearing from you, interpreting from your wife is more. Has the mind frame of the Pakistani culture more so than you.
Yeah, yeah, she is. But at the same time, she is way more open minded than I am
Okay.
about a lot of things. She's much more open minded. That's a really good quality about her, and I think that's what balances me off. And I tend to understand. For in the beginning, I didn't because again, I had that mentality, and then I'm seeing her with her views. We had some clashes, but now I'm starting to understand more about being more open minded
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
things, about like what you talking about right now. Yeah, about kids getting married or not, being Muslim or not. I mean, again, I don't know what's gonna happen. All I can tell them, I can raise them in a certain way and just be an example, not to lay the law down. I have to be an example and show them what's right and wrong. Lead by
Yeah.
example. That's all I can do.
Yeah. I think I'm so glad to hear your feedback about that because the way times is going now, times is, it's different. It's definitely different than the way we grew up and our parents grew up and our parents grew up. And, you got the social media on this. I mean, it's so much that will maybe shape their way of thinking, especially if you got strong-willed kids. If you got kids that you can see from a child, like, okay, she's or he is strong-willed, they're gonna most likely do it their way, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but you like you said, you can only just hope for the best. I'm curious. So, did you feel more obligated to marry within your culture? I'm just curious.
Obligated? No.
You just
I
okay,
I was introduced to my wife.
okay,
I was
okay,
introduced to my wife, and it's just we met before we were married. I
yeah,
used to live in LA. She was from Sacramento.
okay,
Uh, she was from Roseville, so, yeah, from Roseville area. So I used to come visit her. We got to know each other. Got to
hmm,
know each other for a little bit before we got married. As far as obligated parents, yeah, they always have that obligation that you have to pack it, have to marry a Pakistani and this and that. But it's just it was always around me, and I just thought it was just very natural that you meet a Pakistani girl and marry a Pakistani girl. So
okay,
it was that wasn't I wasn't obligated. It was just it came out naturally
yeah,
that I
okay,
knew. Yeah, just something that just it'll be better.
yeah.
Like
No, I
we both of
understand.
us share the same culture and the language, and it does really help a lot.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, guess what, Ali? We've
Yes,
run out
sir.
of time. You see how quick time goes? It goes quick, very
Yes,
quick.
sir. Yes.
So once again, thank you for doing the second part and just making yourself available. It really, really, I really, really do appreciate it.
No worries,
And
man.
we're going to definitely stay in contact with each other for sure. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, for sure. And that's it for this edition of Mental Health Matters. If you enjoyed this particular show, if you would like a DVD copy of the show, or if you would like to be a guest on our show, please dial 916 366 4600. Thank you.